Good morning, everyone. Neil Roth, oh my awesome friend. Let's see, just 4 years ago, I was just getting ready to meet you. We were getting ready to launch in this exciting new company that was so wonderful until it wasn't. But
The
I'm
product
very,
the product was good.
the product was amazing. Yeah, my favorite all-time product of everything I've tried. But Neil, let's go way back because I'm sure when you were a little kid, you weren't thinking I'm going to be the CEO of a company that sells rock water. And so, how did everything start? Because you've got a real story, a variety of all kinds of things that you wanted to do. So
Yeah,
your language, listening to your accent, I know you're from not from Las Vegas originally. So maybe just let's hear the whole story.
I grew up. My first formative years were in Brooklyn, and it was a long time ago. I was born in an area of Brooklyn called Sheepshead Bay, which is right by the water. And I'll tell you how long ago it was. Across the street from the building we lived in was a dairy farm. You don't see many of them in New York City anymore. And so then we moved to Queens, and eventually I ended up on Long Island in Oceanside and went to high school there. It was funny because just recently my son said to me, he said, "Hey, Dad, did you know that you graduated high school with Bob Iger from Disney?" And I go, "No, he's the CEO of Disney." I go, "I didn't know it. We never even met when we were in school. So who knows? The amazing people that you don't realize you went to school with." So, and then I think I really wanted to become an astronaut, as people laugh at when I say, but I ended up going to West Point, knowing that if I did well enough there, I could get into the astronaut program. And I was doing really well. I think I actually was pretty good in school because I could remember a lot. So I tell people all the time is I had, I guess, as close to eidetic memory as you can probably get because I never studied because when I went to take a test, I could picture the teacher giving me the answer. So it was pretty cool. So I did pretty well in school and I was doing fine until 2 years into it. We were in the summertime, you go into it was called Camp Buckner, and during it, you do airborne ranger training. And during airborne ranger training, I wrecked my knee. And in those days, there was no such thing as arthroscopic surgery. So they pretty much told me that you're pretty much done in terms of being in a combat arms. And that sounds terrible, but I had to go into the Corps of Engineers. That's what I was looking for. That's how you get into that. And I ended up getting out on a medical and went to school at Queens College, studied math and nuclear physics. But while I was there, I got involved in the retail business. I had to pay to eat, you know what I mean? So I went to work in a supermarket, a company called Pathmark in New York. Some of you may have heard of it, which was the first superstores, the first 40,000 square foot stores. And it was really interesting. I really loved it. I just loved dealing with people on a daily basis, understanding business. I started out in the produce department, wrapping lettuce and bagging potatoes. In those days, they didn't come in all prepared. They came in raw and you had to clean them up and put them out there. Worked my way up there. So by the time I was graduating school, I was already a store manager for them, which was pretty good because I was only like 21 years old. And took a look around and I realized that I was working hard. In those days, you worked 70 hours a week. If you were lucky, that's all. But and working hard was great, and I was making a decent living. If you call $1.80 an hour decent living, that's what they paid those days. But I heard of this company called Rite Aid, which was a drugstore. It was a brand new concept. Nobody had done that before. They used to have the Rexall stores, which were franchises and stuff like that. And I took a look at it and I said, working hard is good, but working hard in a growth environment is probably a lot better. I moved over there, and that worked out real well. I got to move up pretty quickly in that because they were growing so fast. They were looking for people who wanted to work hard. I think I moved 3 times in 4 years to different parts of the area. And I think I was 31 years old. During the time I got moved down to Florida, drugs asked me to come as a vice president. And by the time I was 31, I was lucky enough to be president of a company in upstate New York. It was about a $100 million company. It was an incredible experience. And that's where my PTSD started. Because I took a company, it was cool because we took a company, it had about 45 stores doing about $100 million. And we took a company that had lost $500,000 the year before I came in there. And we made $5 million the first year I was in there. We just changed the whole marketing plan, redid the stores. And about 6 months after my first year, they said, "You guys did a great job. We're going to sell the company."
Oh,
So, I mean, I had gotten to the point where I actually could go play golf during the week. It was really cool. It was like a really neat deal. So they sold the company, and the company was sold to a company called Revco. Many of you may remember it. They were about a $2 billion company. And normally when, your company is sold, the first thing you do is start looking for a new job. Because again, especially as president, they're going to get rid of you. But it was interesting. The guy came to me, who's the president of the company, said, I want you to come to us as executive vice president, run the marketing and warehousing and distribution. So I said, I was going to say no, move to Twinsburg, Cleveland. So it was actually, those of you who live in Cleveland, probably, it's actually a really cool place to live. The only problem with it gets cold, and I'm not into cold anymore. That's why I'm in Vegas. But so that was cool. So we moved there. Again, they wanted me to redo their marketing. So we took the company in the first 2 years from $30 million of profit to $90 million of profit, increased the sales by about 20%. And then my second PTSD occurred. The owner of the company got greedy and wanted to do a buyout, one of these leverage buyouts, an LBO. I don't know if you remember them back in the 80s. They did them all the time. He says to me, "We're going to do this leverage buyout." And we look at the numbers, and I said, "Well, that makes sense." And somebody came in and bid against him. So he upped it to like $143 million a year in interest payments.
wow.
And I looked at it and I go, like, we made $90 million last year. How are you going to pay for the $143 million? He says, "Well, we have $650 million in inventory. Could you cut it $50 million?" I said, "Yeah, I can cut it $50 million. But what are you going to do the second year?" And he said, "Oh, well, you'll get 10% increases." I said, "On $2.5 billion, you don't get 10% increases every year. I mean, it just doesn't happen." So I ended up getting a buyout of my contract. And a year and a half later, they were the biggest bankruptcy in the history of the country. I mean, it was just stupid. So again, owners screw up things. People who work there don't. Distributors don't screw up network marketing. Owners screw up network marketing. I mean, so we'll go on and on. But so I ended up on the West Coast running a company called Thrifty Drugs. I did some other things in between. And that was a $2.5 billion company. I was there about 7 months before they sold that. And it's funny because I sold it to a company called Payless, who immediately turned around and sold it to Rite Aid. And I knew this was a sign. That's where I started.
Full circle.
I said, "That's it." I stopped, and Claire and I had gotten married, and she had 3 kids, and I had one from my first marriage, and then she had another one, and then we had another one. So we moved to Vegas. A lot less expensive to live there. And that's when I got involved in network marketing. And I've been involved in network marketing ever since then, and since the 90s in one way or the other. And I can't believe how great a business it is. People who actually do it correctly and want to change their lives. But it depends on a couple of things.
If you could go back to that, Neil. Okay, so Rexall was your first experience, and
Yeah.
you've got a background with that, and so I think that was brilliant that somebody took this trusted name that everybody knew and made it into some real brand equity in Rexall. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was called Rexall Showcase International. There was great things about it. And this is what a lot of what we do is things I learned in that company, because that was probably the best one I was in over the many companies. It's also where I got to meet Rick. That's where we became friends, because he was a science officer there. But it was actually based on product. Okay. In other words, what got me interested was, here was a company they called Rexall, had a lot of money. Obviously, they were a well-based company. The owners was an interesting guy and well established, but the products were unique and different and did something and changed people's lives. So that's where I first hit that. And for me, there's certain things that have to be in place in order for a company to be successful. Obviously, the management of the company. Number 2, the products or the services it's going to sell. All right. And number 3, the people that you're working with. Okay. We work with some great people. It was an interesting time. We grew. I had never been in network marketing, so I was a neophyte, just like anybody else who starts it. Didn't know anybody who would do it. Most of the people that I knew were not interested in network marketing. They were interested in making 6 figures immediately. I got to start over again, and it was a great deal. And I was there for about 10 years. It took me about 4 years to get to diamond, I think 4 or 5 years to get to triple diamond. So it wasn't I made money right from day one. And it was a lot more expensive to get into those days. It was a $4,000 quote unquote activation pack. It was a lot more expensive. But again, I had a blast. And I ended up opening Canada for the company. I ran into somebody who ran into somebody. And next thing I know, I'm up in Toronto every month. And we ended up opening that for Rexall. And it was an amazing experience until the owners of the company were offered more money than they knew what to do with by a company out of Holland. And they sold the company. All right. So they sold it to this company who had already owned another network marketing company. And they made the biggest mistake anybody can make and try to combine them. I mean, network marketing companies have cultures. You can't take two different cultures and put them together and hope that they're going to work. Number one. Number two, both companies had a lot of products. So now there was a melange of products that, where were we? What were we centered on anymore? You have to have a focus for your business. And there was no focus. So we left. After a while, I left. I started a regular business again, which was a huge mistake. I started an electric vehicle business. I think you've heard me talk about that before. We did electric ATVs and UTVs. We started in 2005. I think we opened in 2007, way before this whole thing that's going on now with electric. And that's like real work again. Right? Millions and millions of dollars in inventory, huge. We ended up with a 125,000 square foot facility with, 60 welders because we built everything. When you look at a business, most businesses you're talking about in manufacturing and stuff, the cost of doing business is just so huge that you have to have a lot of money. And then 2008 hit right after we opened. So there was no money. So we struggled for 10 more years before and we did all right. Obviously, we lasted another 10 years, and then I sold the business in 2018. But during that period of time, I never left doing network marketing. I shouldn't say that. I left for about 2-3 years, but I had friends in it, so I moved along with them. And mostly in 2010 is when I got really interested in it again, got involved with the company, did really well, took trips down to run the trips, did all the stuff. 2 years into it, the owner of the company got caught sexting some women in the company. Bad text. Well, that blew that one up. Like I say, owners are really good at doing that, aren't they? So we went to another company that for about another 2 years, a bunch of us went over there, did really well again. Yeah, and then they sold it. So I quit for like 4 years after that. I said, that's it, I'm done. And that's when I met you because of a person I knew that I had known from that original company in 2010 was opening a company. I knew him for a long time. And another person, Kyle Helm, many of you guys know Kyle, was a massive distributor and a very close friend of mine. So I joined that up after many years. And first thing they did is said, we're going to be in the detox business. And they sent me this bottle of detox that was black water. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I said, I called him up. I called Rick up and I said, Rick, I know we stopped making the stuff in 2013, but I think it's time to make it again. I said, because these guys want to be in the detox business, but they don't have a clue. So we decided to pool some money. We built a facility. He used to do it on the outside. We actually decided to build it ourselves. And I introduced it to the company. And that's where I met you, Dave, because right about that time, the original company that had it decided they weren't going to be in the network marketing business anymore. And all these people, these wonderful people like Marcy Littlejohn and Robin West and you and a bunch of other people had no place to go anymore. And here we were with the original product, better than it ever was, because we really do make it better than we ever made it before. And so we did it. So we started the company. And what was it, 2 years later or a year and a half later that he decided to get
Indicted?
arrested by the FBI? God, I can't believe it, these things that happen. And then we spent about 6 months in another company and that guy blew up. So that's when Dave and Doug Dickey and a few people put Rick and I in a room and said, you're not coming out until you agree to it.
We were on our knees.
Before we went to the second company, he asked me, but truthfully, it's a lot of work to start a company like ours. But it turned out it's a labor of love. This has just been such an amazing experience for Rick and myself and Doug. Every day we have miracles we hear about. And money is great, miracles are better. Trust me, because they last longer. Okay. We live on the emotional salary that we get. Many of you see me almost every Tuesday. I'm on the testimonial call because that's the blood that keeps me going. That keeps it circulating in the body. So, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's an amazing story, and just so honored and excited to be a part of it. And I do love that psychological paycheck, the spiritual income that we get. Just that's fun. I like the idea that the purpose of a business is to make a profit, and the purpose of an Avini business is to make a profit by doing good. And oh, it's just wow, it's amazing. So tell us, you've got quite a background. I tell people that with what you've done in the past, with running billion-dollar companies with maybe 1,000 different stores or more, that doing Avini's like you can do this with half of your brain tied behind your back. This sounds like a lot easier. We got less SKUs than say Rite Aid has.
Yeah, you know, in most ways, it's a lot simpler than other business I've been in. Obviously, when I was at Revco, for example, we had 2,500 stores and we were opening 140 stores a year. Okay, that whole thing, that alone is a business, just opening stores. And then you have your, you know, 9 warehouses, 500,000 square foot warehouses. You got to keep an inventory and afford the inventory, not have too much of any item. And there's like 27,000 items. I mean, so we basically have about 6 items. And I shouldn't say that we don't have as many stores because I consider each one of a distributor is like a retail store because that's what the distributor is. So we have about 7,800 retail stores. We're doing pretty well. But from a financial standpoint, we're able to stay in good shape. We've been profitable from day one. We spend our time trying to find how to write things off so we don't have to pay too much taxes. And as you can see, we pay you guys immediately. I mean, our commitment is to the distributors. We have 3 commitments, right? One commitment is that we're always going to have the best products, unique products, life-changing and life-enhancing products, okay? Second is we're going to get it to you quickly and we're going to pay you on time, okay? And the third is that we're going to treat our distributors for what they are, the biggest asset of the company. And we do. It's interesting because we just hired, I think I mentioned to you, we just hired a young lady named Stephanie, and a lot of you have probably already starting to talk to her to be our work with Heath in customer service. Who's also going to work with us on events management and stuff like that. She's worked in customer service for other people, and she's been with us a week. So I called her yesterday. I said, "Well, how was your first week?" He says it's been a little weird. I said, "Why? What do you mean? Why is it weird?" She said, "You guys in customer service are actually trying to help people." I said, "Well, this is not what it is." She says, "Not in any company I ever been in. It's how do we get away?" And she says, "Somebody calls up and says their bottle broke on the way, you just ship it." In other companies, it would make them jump through so many hoops, they give up and they never get it. So, you know, we are about that. And there's a good example of somebody who's worked in customer service in other companies, 2 or 3 different companies, and sees a major difference. And it's part of the culture. The culture is that we're all together. We're one group. Doesn't matter that I'm the CEO or that you're a white diamond. You know, a distributor is just as important as any one of us. And we believe that. Because if you call me or you call Rick or you call Doug, we don't ask you what's your level. We ask you, what do you need? So that's what we really believe. Did I answer the question, or was there more that I was supposed to say?
Yeah, I guess the thing I think about really is you've seen some big things, and you might be saying, "Oh, we're gonna be really big, and this is gonna be so wonderful." But what the mission statement really is what you said: make these wonderful products reliably available and treat people right and pay us well, and everything else will take care of itself. So
Yeah, look, we're growing and we're growing nicely. We're not growing as rapidly as some companies out there. These companies that can do $10 million after 5 months and do zero after 22 months. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do that. We've grown what I call organically. You know, somebody said to me recently, they go, "Well, we really don't have hype." I said, "Well, first of all, you know, if you're describing hype as some of the crazy things companies do and say about their products and scream and yell, we don't. The fact is, we have hype. We have unbelievable products. That's our hype. I mean, in the long run, if you don't have a product that's going to maintain itself and keep going and people need to take on a daily basis, and you've heard me talk about it, I truly believe that the biggest thing this company has is preventative healthcare. People haven't started getting it yet because we're pretty young. The best news you're ever going to get is no news about your health. And that's what we help people get to. I think that we have a lot of hype. Every Tuesday I hear hype. Okay. Maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it's every Tuesday I hear the reality of what we can do, of how we can help people. And we can help people in many ways. We help people in their, help people get better. We help people stay better. We help people, live long, healthy lives. You know how many people that have been on our products who are in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s are still working the business and have healthy? Think about that. It's incredible. It really is. And it's because of these products. And on top of that, we've created what I believe to be a very lucrative way for people to make money. And when I say lucrative, it's because we set this compensation plan up so people coming into business can make some money quickly. We have people who have never gotten a dime in network marketing making money right from day one. And then we have a middle management group, which I call the Sapphire and Rubies, okay, of the world. And that group is now they make a decent living. They make a much better than average living. They can make themselves 50, 60, $70,000 a year if they work hard. I mean, there's no guarantees on money other than if you do what it says in our compensation plan, you're going to get that money. That's the only guarantee we can tell you about money. And then, we got people at the level of Dave get paid really nicely, but guess what? It's set up in a way that Dave got to keep working. It's not one of these things anymore where you could just, I mean, you don't have to work as hard probably, but but Dave is a machine, so he's a different kind of guy. But if for somebody to be making $500,000 based upon people who are making nothing doesn't work. I'd rather they made $140,000 and everybody else below them making money because the concrete of the business and the foundation of the business is going to be in the silver, gold, sapphire, and rubies. That's the foundation of business. If you can work either full-time or part-time, but if you can work part-time and pay for your product and make $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 a month, why would you ever stop? Because the truth of the matter is at the level we're at right now as a company, and the growth spurts that we're going to have, we haven't hit momentum. I don't know, any of you have been in network marketing. When you hit momentum, it gets a little nuts. You can't
It's a
even
little
believe
fun.
the numbers that comes in. It just gets crazy. And those people who are getting in now and getting themselves concrete bases, and because of the trinary plan that you can't keep going spread wide, and you have to support the people below you, it becomes a cooperative deal. Everybody is going to continue to make more money. It's going to go up. It's not going to go down. It's great. I love it.
I love it too. It's my favorite product, my very favorite compensation plan. And every plan is set up to reward people for different activities. And I think the most beautiful activity is just find three key people and teach them to do the same and then do that and do that. And ultimately, I think success is if you could have 5 or 6 people that are really close to you that you're working with in all three legs, that would add up to around 20 people. And you can't have too many friends, but you could really work really well with about that many people. And I believe if you have that as a long-time strategy of just real close friends that are ambitious and really invested in the mission here, you're going to be set really well. But mostly just having a wonderful, abundant, satisfying life. There's just no better way to live than being involved in this because ultimately you just want to feel like I'm making a difference out there. How could it be better than that? I would say make a bigger difference with a greater number of people and with a multiplying effect that we have, teaching three to reach three to reach three, all powered by these amazing products. I'm a wonderful CEO that's not going to sell the company.
No, we have no intentions. But one of the things, because me, I'm very transparent about things. For those people who are out there who are just starting or just not, when Dave says find three, it doesn't mean the first three people that you hit are going to be those people. You may have to find 10. You may have to find 15. You may have to find 6. Who knows? But whatever it is, point of it is if you keep going till you find those three, you're going to be successful. That's it.
Good point. Yeah. If you sponsor 3 people, you can't think, okay, I've got my 3. I can park now and watch all the action happen. Yeah, keep it going.
It's really surprising. Some people don't do what they say they're going to do. Isn't that surprising?
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, this is the friendliest environment in network marketing I've ever worked in. People work cross line. all over the place, helping each other. There's no animosity between lines. There's no, that's my person. No, it's really, we really have a good group of people who realize that the real reason we're in business is to save people's lives.
And a rising tide does raise all ships. And
It absolutely does. And
yeah,
it's rising.
yeah, we're in a really nice environment where you do good, good comes back. And I guess to belabor that, three key people, I tell people I want you to be one of my key people. And so if you're a good teacher, you're going to give people that answer to the test. And so if you remember back in school, you're good teachers, they'd say, okay, now listen up. This is going to be on the test. And so my key people test, I'll tell you, this is the key. Call me every day, make a list of names, and let's do three ways together, and let's work. And so if you're one of my key people, here's the answers right here. Well, if I call you, but you never call me, and you haven't made a list, and we don't ever have anybody to talk to, I got to assume, I guess, well, I love you, but you're not one of my key people.
And the truth of the matter, there's a lot of people who get involved in a business and they've never been involved in it, or they've never been in one that has any kind of structure to it. And that's why we built that, what I call the AAA kit, the Avini Advantage Accelerator pack that we have that goes into the activation packs, because it really is an outline for what you're just talking about. So you as a distributor, if you're a new distributor, the person who brought you in should be sitting down with you and going through that. It takes all of 15 minutes to walk you through the book. And that book is going to tell you how to be a distributor. It really is. And the same thing, now you can duplicate that because you bring somebody in, they get their book and say, hey, let's go through the book. And boom, everybody's doing the same motions. It's all about doing the correct motions to be successful in business. When we set up our contests, like we just had this great contest going, for the summit, so that people can get paid. We listen. Why are we doing that? Why are we giving $99 this week for the next week? Because we believe that summit is so important to people's success going forward. If you haven't been to one, if you've been to one, because everybody who's been to one comes back, okay? But if you haven't been to one, you don't understand the value of that until you've been to one. So we're going to try to make this as easy as possible, but you need to come, because your business will dramatically change the day you walk out of that conference, the day you walk out of our summit. But if you look at the contest, and I know Doug's been on a bunch of calls explaining it more after I babbled through it on Tuesday night. It's all about doing the stuff we're talking about. We're not asking you to do anything special. Be successful, to get your rooms paid for, to get your hotels and your airline paid for. We're not asking for you to go out and build the Empire State Building in 2 years. Okay, we're asking you to just go talk to people. If you talk to people and you help people below you, I forgot who it was who says, if you're being successful is helping people be successful. That's it. That's the great thing about this leverage. Do you know that 97% of the money in this country is in the 3% of the people that have leverage in positions? What is leverage? It means that when somebody else works, you're getting paid. Why do corporations work? Because they leverage the workers. And then you get people like Elon Musk make $69 million a year or whatever it is for everybody else working in the factory. Okay, that's leverage. Now you get to leverage people to help people. God, what a great leverage. You're not asking anybody to go dig a ditch. So that's the important part of it. I'm all over the place today this morning. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, no, I love this stuff. And I love the idea that you can leverage by teaching other people to leverage. That's such a powerful idea. So we're not just teaching people how to fish, we're teaching people how to teach those people how to teach them how to fish. And so coming to the convention is wonderful, but what if you had three really good people come to the convention with you? And we've got enough time where maybe they could each have three people, and that'd be really fun, getting all excited at the convention, also looking around and saying, wow, I've got this person, wow, and they're excited and they're part of my group. So that's
Right.
fun.
And the other part of the convention is being able to rub shoulders with people like Dave and Marcy and Robin. And you'll see that Rick and Doug and I are always wandering around talking to people. We want to meet everybody. We want to talk to everybody. But I think every convention, as you know, have an hour and a half buffet lunch each day. Why do I do that? So people can talk. That's how you learn. We'll teach you a bunch up on the stage. The most important part of the conference is going to be the interaction you have with other distributors and learning the way they're being successful and what they're doing and how they talk to people and how these products are helping people in a lot of ways. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a convention, but in a way, it's a family reunion.
it is. Everybody's hugging, and it's just such a cool deal. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you spending your time. Any final thoughts? Where do you see the future? What keeps you getting out of bed? Well, I think I already know. We're just all excited, and it's really fun to tell people that have uh, seen the concept of what could be if you're with a good company, and these principles that a good company is built behind, where you have a wonderful product and have this method that's so elegantly done when it's done right, network marketing. But so often it's messed up, but it's thrilling to have our corporate leaders that they have network marketing PTSD too. And so they're not going to let that happen.
I think we can honestly say that our hope is this is where great network marketers go to retire because they never have to leave.
That's right. Absolutely. We got the right people on the bus, and we've got the wrong people off of the bus. And so I love it. The right people are driving the bus. Yeah. All right.
Anything else?
I was thinking we could just close, but if you want, in fact.
What I will say is just remember the two things, okay? Number one is that this $99 lasts through next Wednesday. And 99 and one thing, I would suggest you do it. And one of the things I am doing, I'm not looking, and I'm being real, again, those people who came into the company in January and signed up after the $99 hit, if you get hold of support, they will give you a $50 credit because you guys didn't have a chance to do the 99. Anybody else who signed up, didn't sign up previously, needs to do the $99.